Just Vox.
Hey, Just Vox review fans, it's another great day for reviews, recaps, and spoilers. We're closing in on the end of Warrior Season 3, and with Episode 8, you know when you're losing a fight? You can feel the tension reaching a roaring boil, even as Mai Ling and Li Young celebrate their marriage with awesome in attendance. Last episode, Mai Ling invited every unimportant in Chinatown to her wedding. The wedding is simple, but there is a joy in the opening of Warrior Season 3, Episode 8 that the audience and the characters know is fleeting. A small unification of Chinatown, yes, but that illusion of peace gives way to now Mayor Buckley as he's sworn in with his racist rhetoric in Tao. Moving back and forth between the wedding and Buckley's racist diatribe is stark. While Buckley calls the Asian community in San Francisco an alien race and calls for the cleansing of the rot in the city is hard to hear, the white citizens smiling and cheering in the crowd. This balance of the ugly racism against Mai Ling's wedding shows that there is a larger threat than warring tongs. It's infuriating, and it's a hammer that the audience can see hovering over Chinatown waiting for it to fall. But while the audience can see that outside threat, the men of the Longzi are more concerned with using Li Young to strip away pieces of Mai Ling's hard-won power. A female leader of a tongue, Warrior's third season has been about her finding her place and power within Chinatown and trying to assimilate in the pond the surrounding white areas of San Francisco. She has been physically and verbally humiliated by cops. She's been questioned by the elders of the Longzi, and while she doesn't carry those scars on the surface, she does hold them inside. Mai Ling's heart has always been made of stone in one way or another. We can talk about how the world made her this way in order to survive, but that doesn't detract from the way she's seen her power as what should be protected beyond her relationships. She killed her husband and took power. She warred with the Hopway, exploiting her brother. And now she betrays her husband's trust only unlike the other two in this paragraph. Li Young is devoted to her. So much so, as Mai Ling's assassins cut down the threats to her leadership, you stop and think that it's him. Orchestrating it, where Mai Ling is cold, Li Young is warm. He cares and loves, and in Warrior's third season, he had been given a larger focus beyond just bodyguard. But for him, as he tells Chow, there's only Mai Ling. As a series, Warrior has used sex extensively in its storytelling. Still, in this episode, Mai Ling and Li Young's wedding night intimacy is woven into a larger narrative. At peace, in love, and in pleasure, Mai Ling and Li Young have a passionate night. A tender one, much different than what we usually see in the series. But that tenderness is rocked by assassinations, but also Mai Ling's complete letting go of worry in that moment. Only, this act of maintaining her power was without Li Young again. When Mai Ling moves, she moves forward without consulting or even telling her now husband. She is alone in her choices, and while that may be a weight for her to carry, it's an emotional shock for the man who sees her as his son. In the episode's climactic fight, and one of the best of the season, Kong Pak and Li Young fight. As a fan of both actors and their martial arts backgrounds, it's fantastic to watch Mark Dacascos and Joe Taslim fight. This time, with the intent to kill, only the emotional weight that the fight carries is a heavy. Like Young has to choose between his wife and his best friend. While Li Young as a character hasn't had as much dialogue here, we see his heart and his struggle as someone deeply in love with his wife, and still her pawn. There are no happy endings in Chinatown. Like the title of one of this season's episodes says, especially for the powerful. It's a reminder that even a wedding can divide when you are singularly focused on going through the world alone and on your own terms. As she looks at her now husband, his friend in his arms, she's crying. She's assured in her choice, but she's crying all the same. But Li Young and Mai Ling aren't the only emotional moments of the episode. In Warrior Season 3, Episode 8, we also get to see a vulnerable moment between Father Jun and Young Jun. The father-son duo have been repairing their relationship since they escaped the detention facility in episode 5. But in this moment, we get to see them interacting not as a current leader of the Hapui and the former, but as a scared father and a terrified son. After being wounded in episode 6, Father Jun's dementia has gotten worse, to the point that he's a shadow of who he was, and while young Jun knows this, he still has an unshakable faith in his resilient father. That is, until Father Jun confides in him the title of the episode. When you've scrapped as much as I have, you know when you're losing a fight. It's a small moment in a large episode, but as the episode ends, the audience is reminded of Father Jun's conversation earlier. Nearly every episode of Warrior Season 3 has been an emotional wrecking ball. But episode 8 hurts a different kind of awful. Warrior Season 3 episode 8 is a fantastic episode. One that cuts deep and has large personal implications at the same time as narrative ones. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And just in case you missed the previous episode, 7 recap and spoilers, kindly check that out and drop us a comment in the comment section below.